We got our last inter squad tonight, so we'll be playing at 6:30. Get them underneath the lights to make sure that we ready as we can be for this Friday night under the lights. Once we finish tonight's inter squad, we'll get together kind of as coaches and try to set up our rotation for the weekend and set up what we want to do for the weekend. We'll be looking at some scouting reports and some things on them over the next couple days. Also trying to combine all the information we can get to set up the lineup, set up the rotation, the bullpen, the things that we need to do to be ready for this weekend. So we had a good inter-squad Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this weekend we kind of mimicked all the times that we would be playing at. Except Friday. We did a Friday day game. Saturday and Sunday we played at the times we'd play at normally. And then tonight we're going to mix in a night inter-squad for not only the lights but for a Tuesday night game and a Friday night game. And then from there we'll get together and as a coaching staff tomorrow try to take all the information that we've got and then combine that and get ourselves ready to go with good practice on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. And then up and running and ready for the start on Friday. So questions you might have.
What kind of challenges are you looking for with Texas?
Well, I mean, you know, they're a very good baseball team. They're well coached. They got good athletes. Unfortunately, they lost a very good player in their shortstop. But they're gonna be a very good team. You know, we always worry about us. I've always said that. It's more about us than anything. But on the other hand, we do respect our opponent. We do know taking on somebody like that early part of the year is not going to be easy, but it's going to be good. It's going to weather us, weather our young pitchers, because our schedule is tough. But it's going to be good to weather people. That's the number one thing. So we'll have challenges. I mean, the biggest challenge we'll have, especially with the younger players, number one, the younger pitchers, and then number two, trying to just make sure that you play baseball and not play against their history.
When you have somebody as experienced and talented as Gunnar, what's your biggest concern when he hasn't been on the mound for a game in 600 Sundays?
Probably the rust. You don't forget how to pitch. These veterans, these older guys in the big leagues that go on the DL and stuff, they never forget how to pitch. It's just when they come back, you do sometimes have some rust involved. And so, but Gunnar's a perfectionist. You know, he's really hard on himself. His preparation is always through the roof. So the one good thing Gunnar always gives you that I respect about him is that he's prepared mentally and physically, and he's ready to give you the best that he has. And at the end of the day, that's really all you want from a player. But I think the only thing that you would be worried about is just anything that would be a little rust. You know, we've tried to knock it off to the best of our ability through all our inter squads. He's looked good. And now just to, hopefully, as I told him, just to be patient with this because of where he's been, and to make sure that he understands that he's going to get better as he goes. I think his velocity will continue to climb as he goes, and I think he'll knock some rust off as he goes. We've been trying to do as much as we could leading up to this, and he's done a lot of it. He's looked very good. I thought he'd be rustier than what we saw, and what we saw was really good. So now it's just a matter now just get him back out there on a Friday night and let him go.
Do you know what the rotation will be for the entire weekend?
Not yet. We're going to do that tomorrow. After tonight's inter squad, we'll look at it and, you know, give out Saturday and Sunday and after tomorrow, or
Coach,
tonight,
all the
actually.
years you've done this, do you think the majority of the time at this time of the year you kind of know what to expect, and how often are you food, and do you feel like you have a pretty good grasp of this team?
Yeah, I think so. You know, you spend all fall with them, and you get a sense and a feel for what you're seeing. When you've been doing something for 31 years like I have, you don't know it all, but the markers that you usually use to look at is what you try to go by. I mean, I think we're going to play good defense. We did last year. I think the big things for us, to be quite honest with you, and for what I'm seeing is We've got to, try to hopefully, I think first base is going to be a moving piece. We've got to try. I don't know if somebody will take that all season just because of Handsome. I don't know if Handsome can catch every game. So you might have games where Handsome plays at first base. You got Danny at first base with the torn labrum. So I think those are going to be some things we have to work out and just look at. So I think that's going to be a moving part. I think the middle of the infield is going to be the area where it's going to be pretty stable, but we have to stay healthy there. I think the outfield, that's where we have a lot of our depth. So sometimes we can do left, right there if we need to. And then developing roles out of the bullpen and getting some starters that we know, Jack's been up and down just health-wise. So getting a couple starters, hopefully, or does those guys go to the pen with us, and do more outings but less time out on the mound. So I think that's going to be the big issue with us, is that it's going to be very hard to be able to just write something down and go, this is a veteran team, and like the middle infield, right? I mean, I know it's Cantrell, I know it's Castles. That's easy. But I think there's going to be other moving parts, with Lockridge and them at third base. Wyndham, I think that's going to be moving a little bit from time to time. We've got some guys that can come off the bench and play very good defense for maybe a guy that might play that's a little bit more of a hitter. So I think those are the things for us. I think we have to play ourselves into what we can be personally. And so I don't think you're just going to be able to script it out and say this is it. I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts until we can kind of start to shape things, because you got 3 here, then we've got a midweek game, then you go to Sam Houston, and so the schedule is going to be tough enough to where I think we'll get the weathering. I think the big key now is how do the younger guys hold up in that weathering.
Is the goal to have a set lineup halfway through conference, or are you okay with if it's a lot of platooning all the way through?
No, we're okay with, hopefully we can get set as much as we can for conference, number one. And number two, there are some things that might never get set that might stay platooning throughout the season. If that's the case, I'm okay with that. We hope we're platooning because we're getting a hitter and a defender maybe, as compared to moving parts because we're not solving a hole. That's what you don't want. You want to be able to solve an issue if you can, but you have to get out and play to see what kind of the issues are, because in the fall you think you know what the issues might be. Like last year I thought we'd play good defense. I didn't know if we'd be in the top 10 in the country defensively, but I knew we'd play good defense and we did. We needed to pitch better at the end of the year, which we didn't. And we'd had some big injuries last year to deal with right off the bat with losing Gunner and Handsome. Now we got both those guys back, but they are both coming back from injuries. So I think we're going to have to just be patient with them. And then I think we're going to have to try to, keep some workloads off from time to time with both of them. I don't think Handsome's going to be able to catch every game. I think he understands that. And so Toro and McKenna are going to come in to play there. So I think we'll have some moving parts. My thing is the ultimate key to everything in what I've seen all fall is if our freshman arms, if we can build some depth with the young arms and not have just 1 or 2 step up, but all the ones that we're counting on. We've got more lefties coming out of the pen now than we've ever had. So if those guys can take care of what they need to take care of, I think that can help us. And I don't think I don't think it's gonna be a situation where you're gonna grab a starter and say, hey, get us to the 7th on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I think that's gonna take a little bit. I think we're gonna have to pitch some people early in 2 innings here and 2 innings there and that kind of thing. Maybe some matchups with left rights potentially. So I think that's the biggest thing for us if we're gonna really, really work into being a good ball club. I think the big key is the freshmen arms and being able to grow up and be able to sustain what we need them to sustain.
What's the biggest challenge of just opening day, just from doing this 24 times here?
Well, the biggest thing about opening day is that it's who you playing against, you know, and then to be able to throttle down to where they need to be at, because what they want to do is opening day is to throttle up, and so that's just not a good thing. I mean, baseball's played at a certain speed, and when you get out over your skis, it's not good, and so what you really want to do is we've been pumping in some noise of crowd noise on them over the last couple of days, just so that their ears can hear, you know, a crowd, but to really get them to throttle down and just make sure that they play baseball and not try to get too throttled up, especially the freshmen. You know, our older guys, they can handle it, but these freshmen, this will be the first time that they'll see a crowd wrapped around them like that.
You threw several guys last year that was their first taste in Division I, you know, specifically Perrin and Batty and Cox and Lomont. Could you give us an idea of how those guys have progressed from being first-year guys to second-year guys?
I think they've all gotten better. Each one of them's kind of a different type of arm. But all those guys have thrown well all fall. You can kind of tell their age, and we're going to need that. We're going to need that from that group, because, you know, Armstrong's better than what he was last year because of his surgery. He gives us somebody underneath coming out of the bullpen, and then Cox went out and threw well this summer in Alaska. Mike has thrown well this fall. Perrin and Batty have thrown well this fall, and both of those guys have been in big games against Mississippi State and Kentucky, you know, in the Minute Maid Classic and stuff. So we're really going to need those guys to help us. And if Jack Burke he's throwing well and he's healthy right now, if he can just stay healthy and sustain as we get into some little higher workloads, those guys will need to help us.
With Burke having the workload he's had the last 2 years, and with his issues happening in the last third of the season, are you tempted to just keep him in the bullpen and just throw him a couple innings at a time?
That's a possibility, yes. Yeah, that's what those are the decisions that we're trying to make, is potentially, you know, because he could literally close. I mean, he could easily take the 7th, the 8th, or the 8th and the 9th, or the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And that's kind of what we're looking at. We might have a few guys that can do that, instead of, you know, always saying, hey, we have a closer, which I think we will have a closer, but I think we got some guys like him that could come out and take 6 outs or 9 outs and be done for the weekend, as compared to being a starter, possibly because of the workloads. So that, yeah, those are the issues that I think that's what we got to work through leading up to conference.
You mentioned it a little bit earlier, but are these opening games won in the middle innings just because of all the uncertainties just with everyone across the country?
Well, the biggest challenge is the middle innings of a ball game are always the toughest innings. They're the toughest innings for the starting pitcher, because the hitters are seeing him now for the 3rd and the 4th time. So your middle innings are very, very, very critical. Our number one goal here is we pitch and play defense against the 3-run inning. I mean, that's what we do. Our goal is to pitch away from it and defend against it, and then try to hit towards it. That's our number one goal. But that is a dangerous inning, because that's especially early in the year, because pitch counts, if a pitcher gets pushed early, you'll start to see the higher pitch counts start to catch up in that 5th and that 6th inning. And that's where middle relief becomes real important, or guys that can come out of the bullpen and keep the momentum of the game where you need it, or we call bridgers, guys that can come in and bridge the gap between somebody else that's waiting to come out in the 8th or the 9th.
Piggybacking off of Jay's question, you know, I know early last year was a lot of learning, it's a lot of just being in the process versus being result driven. How have you seen the guys like Cantrell, Wyndham, even some of those young guys in the lineup, like how have they grown and matured, and how have you seen that so far?
Well, you know, guys make big jumps in 1 year. You know, I mean, I've seen some guys around our league that hit, you know, 220 and 190 last year or the year before, and then last year were all Sun Belt Conference players. You know, they can make big jumps in years, and a lot of it is the maturity factor. You know, the mental approach, the knowing of what's going on. So we hope that some of these guys, that'll translate, you know, from last year to this year. That's why we really never look back as coaches, because the difference maker in a year ago till now is his maturity. On the other hand, what we do look back on is that, you know, numbers, history, those things that you look at, health, you know, when a guy got up to a certain level, all of a sudden, you know, maybe that's too much of a workload for him. Those kind of things we're looking at. But the big thing that we're hoping is that the mental side of this for them, we can see, I mean, I've already seen myself from Cantrell and Lott and all of them, there's been a big difference. But now every team's different because you have to now go out and play together. And so it is different because you have new people out there. Every year you have new people in a locker room. And so now the difference maker is, you know, not only in the athletic side, the athleticism side, but you also have the chemistry side of being able to get to play together. Plus, you post the lineups now, right? All fall, you know, every time you enter squad, and those guys come to the ballpark every day knowing that I'm hitting and I'm pitching. But now, once you start the season, a lot of people's time gets cut down if they're not an everyday player. And this is what makes, I think, or breaks teams throughout the season is how well they can handle that, how well they can handle platooning, how well, you know, in the big leagues, it's grown men. I mean, they look at things differently. These are kids that have just been playing every day at their high school. You know, now he was a starter. Now he's coming in just to throw the 7th inning, you know. I mean, he's a relief pitcher now, and he once was a starter. So I think there's some things there that as a coach you just don't know what's going to happen. You preach about it, you talk to them about it, that it's coming, but I mean, Friday night there's going to be a lineup posted, and so, but you know, again, I think there's a lot of things for us to work out by trial and error because of the uniqueness of this team. You've got a lot of young arms that are going to have to come out and get into some trouble and get into some high stress situations to see if they can hopefully handle that. And I think the more they get in it, you know, the better they get in it. They don't send a pilot up the first day he goes to pilot school and lets him solo a plane. I mean, you know, he's going to start in a simulator. He's going to fly with an instructor until they finally feel he's good enough to leave him alone. We don't have that kind of time. You know, we've tried to put these guys in the fall and early spring in the best simulated situations we could put them in, you know. But they still need this last piece. We can talk about this all we want about how Friday night's going to feel, but until he gets out there this Friday, it's not exactly, he's not comprehending it the way we're telling him because he hasn't felt it yet. So that's the part that we're going to have to walk through and be patient and try to weather these guys up enough to where the more they get out there, hopefully the better they can handle what's around them.
Is your club healthy? Is anybody not available for this weekend?
Not as of right now. Danny's got a sore hand, but we hope that he'll be ready for the weekend. That's really our only issue, and he's swinging today with it. Other than that, all the pitchers are healthy and the players are healthy, so you know we should be good to go.
After all these years, you still get nervous or excited about opening day?
It's
Juices get flowing?
yeah. I mean, you know, Jet called me early this morning, 8 o'clock. Said, "Dad, it's game week." I mean, I think he still gets bumped up, and so. But yeah, we do as coaches. Our biggest goal, like I've said, I tell this to the players all the time. Practice day is for me. I'm going to be all over you on practice day. Game day, the only thing I really try to do on a game day is control the way they think. If I see them too throttled up too much, I got to get them down. If we see something that's not right, the less coaching I do on game day, I think the better we are. So the one thing, I'm real big on no codependency. We'll work you until it's ready to play. Once you're ready to play, you can't be no longer codependent on me. You got to know what you're doing out there. Now, as coaches, I think if you coach too much during a game, then I think they never get to play a game. I mean, let's face it, they're here to play a game in a game. If game smells like, tastes like, looks like practice, I just don't think they're going to enjoy a 56-game season. Somewhere in there, if that big leaguer's not having fun, I mean, you talk to a big leaguer when they say, hey, we'll sign you to a minor league contract, the first thing you don't want to do is go back to spring training, right? I mean, it's not fun. And so I think what you got to do is you got to try to get them ready to go and then let them enjoy the game, let them play. This Friday night's for them, not me. I think the only thing we do as coaches when we start the game is try to control the momentum of the game and try to control the way they think, if you will. Not to think they're in too much trouble if they're behind, not to panic, not to play ahead of themselves. Those kind of things, I think, is what I try to do. But for us, for trying to really get in depth coaching, I think it's like trying to cram for a test 1 hour before the test. I think the damage has been done. You're either ready or you're not. So I think what the game does for me as a coach, though, is to test my eyes and what, like Foot said, what I've seen all fall and early spring with 30 years of experience. I think I know where the problems are going to be. I think, this is what this is going to be. And now what you do is you go out and you play against somebody as a test. And then Texas is going to expose us wherever the weaknesses are, wherever they are. We got to try to, sew that up Friday night, get out there Saturday, and then they'll expose us again. We'll expose them hopefully too. They're doing the same thing. They're playing on the road and they're playing against a good team and a tough crowd. So I'm sure their coach is looking at it that way too. We're going to get out of our stadium where we're not protected. We're going to be in a tough environment for 3 games. And I think what he's trying to do too is he's trying to see, okay, how does that shape out, And so we'll see how that shapes out day by day. And then from there, you pull it all together over the weekend and try to go back to work. And now that you've got a measuring stick laid on you, you kind of know where you are to go back to work again. I mean, you'd hope to have that all solved, right? But I think it's an ongoing process. I think big league teams can get better as the year goes. Some get worse as the year goes. Some fracture off when adversity hits. It's a long season for us. Some people will wake up Monday and they're going to evaluate and judge, everything. And then if you did good, then okay, it's good. And if you did bad, oh my God, and you only played 3 games. So you've got to try to really stay focused on where you're at and then try to solve the issues that are in front of you before they do you in.
Yeah, but do you get excited about opening night?
I do, but I've got to watch what I do in front of them because they take on my demeanor most of the time. So I'm not a real big jumpy person, and not a real big emotional person, jumping up and down and stuff. I really believe in trying to stay evenly keeled, but it is exciting, especially because of who you play in, knowing that we bring in quality baseball into here. This is a quality team and a quality organization. I think that's a reward to our fans. And what I get excited about, truth be told, is just the opportunity to just throw down with somebody that's supposedly better than me. I'm a sick man, but that's where I get happy. I don't care what kind of plane you came in here on. I really don't care how nice your shoes are. I mean, when he says play ball, it's me and you for 9 innings. It ain't about your shoes or your plane anymore. Now, if I can get our players to play with that mentality, then we can do some damage. But that's what excites me, is the chance to play at a national level or play against somebody that's playing at a national level. That's what excites me, if you really want to know what excites me.
This will be our last question.
Is the plan with LaHare, just to be clear, start him at first if he's healthy and Monica's behind the plate, and then if that's not the case, how else might you utilize?
We're trying to rehab that labrum. He's not going to have surgery, but to see how well he can throw along the way. If he can throw, then it gives us an outfield option. But you are correct in your first statement. We're going to take some pressure off the labrum. That's why he is at first, and then we'll see how much he can or can take from throwing, and then that throwing might give us a second option of being able to move him to the outfield from time to time.
And if LaHare, for whatever reason, isn't healthy and Handsome is behind the plate, then who's your guy first?
You mean if Monica comes out and plays
If
first?
if Monica's catching and if LaHare's not healthy, then
Yes.
who's your guy first?
You'll probably see us go with Monica out to first, with Toro coming in behind the plate,
Okay.
him and
Yeah,
McKinnon.
okay.
All right, thank you guys.